groceries. Let's see what we find. Well, good morning, guys. It's Crazy Cheap Chick. And yesterday morning, I went up to the grocery store and I did all the things. You know, I made a menu, I made a list, I cleaned out the refrigerator, I loaded the coupons, I ran up to the store, and I had forgotten my list at home. And since I live about 15 minutes from the grocery store out in the country, I didn't want to drive back and get the list. And I also didn't have my phone on me because I left them together. And so there's not a lot of video from inside the store, things I saw. But I am going to turn this camera around and show you what I found. Guys, I'm just back from the grocery store. I spent $102.25 pre-tax. This is what I got, and I'm going to run through it really quick. And like I usually do, I'm going to start with full price, then go to sale, and then go to clearance. So the full price stuff I bought was this creamy Caesar dressing for $3.69, 2 sweet potatoes, I believe they were about $1.50, 4 avocados for $3.89. Now avocados were on sale this week for 99 cents each, but a bag of them was less than 99 cents, and these can probably be used this week. The ones that were on sale were hard as a rock. This kale was $2.99. These French fries were $3.49. I went back to buying my Noosa yogurt, $2.19. I got 2 of them instead of 3. This was extremely expensive. I wanted some sub rolls, and these were the only ones I could find in the whole store. And while they look really good, isn't $5.49 just ridiculous? I mean, that's a ridiculous price for bread. 89 cents each for these pizza crust mixes. Now, this is the sale stuff. They had these, I wanted just the honey chicken strips, but all they had was buffalo chicken strips, which is fine, $4.99. This pork loin roast, I guess you would call it, for $6.99. 2 packages of deli meat for $3.49. Let's face it, none of this meat is very healthy. 2 packages of cheese. It was buy one, get one free, so they were basically $2.50 each. Instead of buying cream, I bought creamer just because it was a lot less expensive than cream. It was on sale this week for $2.54. Milk was on sale for $1.29. These raspberries were $2.77. And these mini peppers were $1.99. That's pretty good. Probably the best deal they had for sales this week besides mini peppers was coffee, $4.99. So I bought 5. You could buy up to 5. And so that's a lot of coffee. That should last us 4 or 5 months. And sometimes I just have to justify it to myself by saying, think about the money you're saving, not the money you're spending. So I save, because this is normally $8.99. So I saved $4 a canister or 20 bucks. And then this is the clearance items. Didn't find a lot today, but I did find this vegetable medley for $1.35. Some sweet Maui onion chips for $1.35. Graham sticks for $1. These raspberry-filled cookies for $1.49. Some spice thyme for $2.35. It's missing its lid. Little bag of oranges for $1. Some snap peas for $2.16. Lettuce for $1.57. Some bananas, I think they were 91 cents. And a package of balsamic vinaigrette for 94 cents. And a bubble blower for $2.89. And with 7 grandkids, someone will use this. This is what I plan on making this week. Since they had this on sale, I'm going to bake this with potatoes and carrots and onions around it. And I think it'll be really good. Then I had planned on making some Subway style sandwiches since they had this deli meat on sale, and I have a lot of cheese, and I have tomato and lettuce, all the things you put on a sub sandwich, with some French fries. And then I'm going to try a new recipe. I know it's going to sound kind of weird, but I think it'll be pretty good. It's a pizza that has sweet potatoes and kale on it, and cheese. And actually, the picture looks really good, and I think it'll be good. Then I have a lot of tortillas, and so I'm gonna make some wrap sandwiches. And it has chicken strips and all the things you put in a Caesar salad with Caesar dressing. And if there's leftover fries, I'll use that. If not, then we'll have chips with it. And I have roast left over from last week, so we'll probably have roast and mashed potatoes again. And this is going to be kind of a weird week because my dad has surgery next week, and I don't know if we'll be here every night, so I didn't want to overbuy. Of course, breakfast is always coffee and fruit and yogurt. And lunch is always leftovers or salad and leftovers. So we've got a lot of salad stuff. And honestly, I could make a big salad because this is more chicken than we would use in one meal. I could make a really nice salad with chicken on top. So we got plenty of food here. So since I had forgotten that list, I tried to recreate it in my mind and write it down and think of what I had on my menu. And I did pretty good, except I forgot one thing, sour cream. So I had to run back up there this morning. I don't like going on Saturdays because it's really crowded. And I went back and got the sour cream, and I ended up finding a few clearance things as well. I ended up at about $120 for the week, but I'm not gonna complain too much because I've got a huge stockpile of food because I'm always finding clearance items. And I can work those into future weeks. And we eat whatever we want. I'm not trying to get it as low as I can go, though I may make a video one day showing just how inexpensively I could eat if I was really trying to. But let me turn this around. I'll show you what I got this morning. So since I forgot my list, I forgot one thing, sour cream. So I had to go back for this, and I paid full price, $2.29 I think it was. Everything else was clearance, not anything I needed, but I went ahead and picked it up since it was cheap. And I found this stovetop stuffing for $1.26. That still seems kind of high, but they're like $1.99 now. I don't usually buy paper plates or any paper products, but I do have my grandkids one day a week during the summer for what we call Camp Nana Banana, and paper plates are handy. A couple of red nut bags, 3 peppers for $1, some tomatoes for $1, this cheese, which I love. They had this on clearance the other day, but it was like $7, so they've marked it down even more to where I would buy it. Some fabric softener for $2.39. This pizza, it wasn't on clearance, it was just on sale for $3.99. And we had dinner at my daughter's last night, and so I didn't make dinner, so there's no leftovers today, which is usually what we eat. And so I went ahead and got this pizza for lunch today. And then this big set of plasticware for $6.76. You see, that had been $12.29. Goodness. And these olives, now this was a pretty good deal. 72 cents. These are normally $3.79, and I love them. So all together this week, I think I spent about $120. Well, the big thing that happened this week was we sold this travel trailer, and it goes away Monday. The second big news was John Wayne bought a new truck. And it's a huge truck, a big truck. It's an F-350 Super Duty King Ranch. Long bed. He's been looking for one forever. Well, this is pretty much how I'm going to be spending my weekend. Well, I think this turned out pretty good. It was a ton of work, though, spreading all that mulch. And I'm not done, but I'm getting down here on the side done, too. Always wanted to make this overlook kind of a scenic spot. I got this off Marketplace for cheap. Put some more rocks. Planted some flowers around here. This rock had a crack in it. I went ahead and planted some flowers in the crack. My duck's back.
They were right up in this corner. Oh, look up here.
It's so weird because there's 4 males and 1 female. Oh, there's also a turtle living up here. I don't see him. There was a big old turtle that lived in here and he died. And now there's a little turtle in here. And I don't see him. If we get some rain this week, this might fill up the rest of the way. It's my typical breakfast. Yogurt with raspberries, bananas, walnuts, and green tea. Well, friends, thanks for watching all the way to the end. I'm going to catch you up a little bit on my week. It's been super busy, and then I'll tell you a brief little story at the end. So, this has been a busy week. We finally sold our travel trailer, so now we're down to just 1 travel trailer. And John Wayne bought a new truck. He has wanted a new truck forever. And his last truck he bought during COVID, and it wasn't what he wanted, but there were no trucks available. An old man had pulled out in front of him and totaled his truck, and he just had to get what he could get. And so he's been wanting a new truck for a long time. And so he got one this week. It's a Ford F-350 Super Duty King Ranch. If that means anything to you. It means nothing to me other than it has a massager in the seats, which I kind of like. And since I sold cars, I know from experience that when I sold cars, there were people who left with the best deal imaginable and were super mad. Or there were people who just got really taken advantage of, who were thrilled, thought they got the best deal. The dealership holds all the cards, so you have no way of knowing if you got a good deal or a bad deal. So once we had agreed on a figure, I went ahead and told them I used to sell cars, and the sales manager was telling me, well, you drove an awful hard bargain. I was wondering. I'm like, I don't think I drove a hard bargain. I'm like, there's no way for me to know what kind of bargain I drove or didn't drive. And he's like, well, I can tell you, our profit was in the hundreds, not in the thousands. It was in the hundreds. We couldn't go any lower. Okay, I don't know about that. What I did know was it had been sitting on the lot for a month and a half, and car dealerships have to pay interest every day a car sits there. And so usually after about 30 days, they start getting a little bit more motivated. But, we just got talking car talk and talking about how the business had changed. And he was telling me that everyone shops on the internet now. And he's like, we have to put our best price out there or people won't even come in and look at it. We're competing online. And so he was saying there's not as much of a profit margin as there used to be. And he might be right about that because online shopping was just really hitting its stride when I left the car business, and I can see where you would have to put your best price forward to get people in the door. So he probably is right about that. And car dealerships make a lot of money on the back end. The service department is where they make most of their money. So that happened. My dad is scheduled for surgery on Wednesday, so I'll be going up to where he lives, and my sister's coming back to be here for the surgery, so she'll be here all week. And so we've got a lot coming up this week too. So if you don't see a video from me for a while, that's why. It's because I've got some family matters to attend to. That's about all that's going on here. I mean, I put down when we did the sewer repair at my son's house, he dug up all these big rocks out of his yard, and we hauled them over to our house, and I used them in a rock garden and put mulch all around them. That was a big job I did this week. planted a few more things, but it's been cold. It's still getting down to the low 30s. In fact, I think I once again left my tropical plants out when it was too cold. They'll probably come back, but I seem to do this almost every year. We get a 90-degree day and I haul everything outside, then it gets cold and half dies. I never learn. So since we did buy a vehicle this week, my story is going to be from when I sold cars. Now, I worked with a man who was a little odd, and we'll call him Mr. James. That wasn't his name, but he was a very formal person that you would only refer to by Mr. James. You would never say, hey, Steve, you would say Mr. James. He was, I don't know if he was raised by like a military father or what. He was super rigid, very formal, didn't joke around kind of guy. And he didn't fit anyone else at that dealership because no one else was like him. Anyway, he always carried a briefcase with him everywhere he went. And if you remember the show Magnum PI, well, he didn't look anything like Tom Selleck, but he did look a lot like the actor who played Higgins. He was short, he had one of those little tiny mustaches, super droll, very formal, and, you know, he would make comments in a very formal way. What are you boys doing out here? Shouldn't you be working? You know, that kind of thing. And everyone in the dealership, all the other men, became obsessed with Mr. James' briefcase because he was never without it. He took it with him everywhere he went. If he went on a test drive, the briefcase went with him. If he went to the restroom, he took the briefcase. If he went to lunch, that briefcase was with him. So they really were obsessed with the briefcase and always watching him wherever he went. Where's the briefcase? And there were all kinds of theories and conspiracy theories flying around about what was in the briefcase. You know, he was a spy sent in. There was a microphone in the briefcase. You know, there was pornography in the briefcase. The briefcase was full of cash. He had drugs in the briefcase. I mean, you name it, it had been flown. Well, everyone was always watching the briefcase. Everywhere it went, all over the store, looking for an opportunity to steal it. And one day, Mr. James leaves the dealership, and he leaves that briefcase underneath his desk. And people in dealerships have a variety of skills. Some of them have been in prison, and they have more skills than the average person. So it wasn't 2 seconds till they had that briefcase open, picked the lock. And by now, you should probably be able to guess what was in the briefcase. You got it? Yes, when they opened the suitcase or briefcase, it was 100% empty. And Mr. James came back and he just had a little look on his face, just a tight little smile, because they had been set up. Because he always took that briefcase with him. So when he left it behind, he made sure it was empty so they would find nothing. So we never found out what Mr. James carried around in that oh so important briefcase. But I often think and wonder, what did he have in there? So if you've got an interesting work story of an odd or bizarre coworker, leave me a comment. I love those stories. So you have a great week. Go out and find some great bargains. Think about my dad this week when he's having surgery. And I'll see you next week, hopefully.